Even though there was an ocean between them, European politics shaped the development of American culture, ignited some feelings of unity across the colonies, and set the stage for self-government. First, let's go back to the beginning. All of the 13 colonies had been established under different circumstances, and each of their governments had been chosen by the founders. Soon after Massachusetts was founded, civil war broke out in England, so there was very little oversight of the earliest colonies. But then in 1660, the monarchy was restored, and the new king wasted no time in attempting to put all of the existing colonies under his control, starting with the attempted enforcement of the Navigation Acts. Back in 1651, Parliament had passed the first of a series of laws that restricted colonial manufacturing and trade. The goal was to discourage economic competition. However, many of the new laws had gone unenforced. Massachusetts especially ignored many of the provisions of the Navigation Acts. Besides the fact that the restrictions would have hurt New England's economy, the founders of Massachusetts weren't the type of people to simply accept regulations and circumstances they didn't like. In many ways, it was a battle of wills. The recently crowned King Charles II needed to prove he was in control, and in 1684 he revoked the Massachusetts Charter, making the colony subject to direct royal authority. But then King Charles II died, and his brother, James II, took the throne. Dissatisfied with the way Massachusetts flaunted his authority, and concerned about French and Indian threats, King James II created the Dominion of New England. In 1686, the Dominion consolidated Massachusetts Bay, Plymouth, New Hampshire, and several independent settlements into one large colony. It was to be ruled by a president with an appointed council and no elected representatives. The colonists were in an uproar. The first president was a Massachusetts native, but upon taking office, he complained that the Puritan leaders became even more resistant to royal authority. Many of the counselors he appointed refused to serve, as did military officers. Soon after, the president was replaced by the extremely unpopular Edmund Andros from England. Andros set about making everyone in New England angry. First, he demanded that Puritan churches hold services for the Church of England. They refused him. Then he unified the tax system across all of the colonies. This raised taxes for residents of some colonies, and even though the new taxes were actually lower for Massachusetts, many towns refused to even appoint assessors. In return, Andros restricted town meetings. He attempted to certify all land titles in order to charge rent, but New Englanders were characteristically uncooperative. In 1687, Rhode Island grudgingly agreed to join the Dominion, but Connecticut was more resistant and continued to operate its colonial legislature. When Andros himself visited the colony to resolve the matter of handing over the colony's charter, the document mysteriously disappeared. Legend holds that it was hidden in a hollow oak tree, the charter oak. In 1688, New York and New Jersey were added to the Dominion of New England, but due to their distance from the seat of power in Boston, the Dominion had less effect on those colonies, other than helping to align New York's political sympathies with those of New England. Andros's attempts to negotiate peace following Indian conflict infuriated the residents of present-day Maine and alienated many of the local tribes. But in England, King James II and his officials weren't too popular either, especially because the king was Catholic. Many people were waiting until the day he died, and his Protestant daughter Mary would take the throne and bring back the Church of England. So when the king's wife had a son in 1688, citizens feared a Catholic dynasty would be created. What followed is now called England's Glorious Revolution. Influential members of the government invited Mary and her Dutch husband to rule England